Bears losing streak comes to an end on the final play of the regular season.
Did you think that was going to be a loss? Because I think we sure did. Unbelievable way to end the season. The Bears snap a 10-game losing streak. They snap an 11-game losing streak against Green Bay and finish the 2024 season at a very mediocre 5-12. But for one day, the Bears beat the Packers. Welcome into the Bear Report post-game reaction. I'm Steven Johnson. He is Zack Pearson. And Zach, I tell you, that felt dead to rights until all of a sudden the defense today acting like they had everything to play for, keeping this team in the game from beginning to end.
Yeah, a couple things. Bears are 1-0 in 2025. They got that going for them. They still need to get a new head coach because even with the win, there was still some things with Thomas Brown that weren't really encouraged by. But look, going into this week, being at Hallis Hall, talking to guys like Jalen Johnson, you kind of felt like the vibe of, okay, like we know it's our last game. We know what happened last time we played the Packers. It is the Packers. You kind of had that vibe that the defense was going to come out fired up. I was just worried about the offense. And that was actually pretty much played out, in that same scenario. The offense was a lot of horizontal stuff. The defense kind of came out and played fired up. And, despite it being backups for most of the second half, whatever, it's still good for the Bears to get a win, close what was, let's be honest, a disaster of a season with all the expectations, with a win, beat Green Bay for the first time since 2018. And now they enter an offseason with some momentum. And people could say, it doesn't matter. It was a Packers backups. This game matters a lot to the Bears. The Bears could be 1-16. The Packers could be unbeaten or whatever. Both teams could be awful, whatever. This game means a lot. So it was nice to see the players actually get a win against Green Bay. And like I said, full steam ahead now into the offseason with positive vibes.
Yeah, and more or less, finally being able to see Caleb Williams engineer one of these game-winning drives, driving the team down the field, which we've seen numerous times this season, and to have it end with a victory. I mean, that being the biggest thing there. And we saw the frustration from Caleb throughout the day today with, again, numerous mishaps, even some mishaps on that final drive with not getting set. And I think for a lot of Bears fans, it felt like they were not going to get back into position to make sure they had an opportunity to kick that field goal. And I'm sure there were a lot of people getting flashbacks from the game at Soldier Field with the blocked field goal that, again, should have beat them again earlier this season. But here we are with, again, new year, new start. Again, not necessarily new start to, what we're seeing is I really hope that this roster gets turnover beyond our imagination, depending on what happens in the next, 2-3 weeks with the coaching staff and maybe the front office. But again, overcoming all of the miscues today, and the miscues have been a big issue since Eberflus was let go and even prior to that, but they've been magnified significantly more. Even the DJ Moore fumble, I think, a lot of people ready to throw up the white flag at that point. And then all of a sudden the defense comes back out with a 3-and-out and forces the early field goal to even allow that drive to happen. It was just good getting a different outcome. And I think that is definitely something that, if they don't carry that into the offseason and into next season, I don't know what we're doing here, because in the grand scheme of things, it didn't impact too much either in terms of the draft position. They'll probably fall back to 10. That's probably going to be it. The Saints losing to the Buccaneers today. So for one draft position, you also, again, Commanders win. So obviously tit for tat, but pushes the Packers to head to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Again, overall, just you can't help but feel good coming out of this despite all the miscues.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you'll take, going into this game, you saw that the Bears could get as high as like 4 or something like that, but they would have needed a lot of things to happen because the strength of schedule thing plays in, and the Bears needed help from the Raiders, the Saints, a bunch of teams to kind of get that 4th pick. So you'll trade going from 9 to 10 to beat the Packers. I mean, this is a draft where I mean, we don't even know if there's a clear cut number 1 right now. You got like 4 or 5 names that could possibly be number 1. So yeah, it's a draft where there's no not like the past 2 or 3 years where there's a lot of high end talent right there. So the Bears, they'll probably have their choice of an offensive tackle, a guard, an edge rusher, someone like that at number 10. But again, yeah, like I said, you'll take that for the Packers and for a win over the Packers. And, it kind of did feel like at the end, like even when the Bears went up, they were, up 8. I still don't know.
Done.
Yeah, I didn't feel done. And I don't know.
Can we talk about that though? I know you're going to get to, so let's talk about it.
Which part here?
Why go for 2 and not follow up for 2? Let's go there.
So first off, I think the most surprising thing was a bubble screen actually worked on that touchdown because we saw about 9 of them not work. And
yeah, I
get it. Like I'm frustrated with those play calls. I don't think it's necessarily always the play call that's the problem. I think it's the blocking. You saw Rumadunze whiff on a block on the first drive on that first bubble screen, things like that. But they get the touchdown. They go for 2, which I'm always, let's go for 2 if the analytics say it. I don't think the analytics say go for 2 there. Right?
Well, I think they did to an extent because, it was still a 7-point lead regardless of outcome of it. So you're still talking a touchdown. Highly doubtful that the Packers would attempt to go for 2. Maybe they would. Matt LaFleur, I wouldn't put it past him. But on the flip side of that, you get the 2, 9-point game, 2 possession game. That either way, I don't think there was a ton that was really being risked there. And you're 4-12. You are 4-12. Like
you have nothing to lose.
Exactly. So to that point, it just made no sense. You're on the 1-yard line, and then you decide to do it.
Yeah, that's the worst part. Is they go for 2, they get the penalty, they move up to the 1. And then he changed his mind. And I think Adam Hogue had it where he said that was like their 1 play or their special play for the 2. And then Lawrence Holmes said, well, that shouldn't really be the case. I mean, you should have multiple plays, not only for your 2-point conversion, but you should have multiple plays at the 1-yard line on 3rd and inches, 4th and inches, stuff like that.
But how is that no different than the lackadaisical interception by Keenan Allen 2 drives earlier?
Oh, God. It was the same play, essentially.
It was.
Yeah,
it was the same exact play.
Yeah.
So what are they doing in that regard? And I can't honestly believe they went back to it after. I truly have no clue what Keenan Allen was doing.
No, and I think they told him on the second one to run if no one's open. Because he could have ran for 15 yards on the first one.
Right. And even the first one, if that was a throwaway or whatever he was doing, but the secondary angle that they showed of the camera on the field from an angle behind the line of scrimmage, where he throws it, he immediately puts his hands into his warmer, and he just stands there.
Yeah.
And it's like he didn't realize what was going on. Again, many miscues today. Despite the victory, lots of miscues, lots of things to really kind of shake your head at and say, what is happening right now? Yeah,
I mean, they couldn't get in and out of the huddle quick. We've seen that a lot this season. Almost burned them on that last drive. Penalties, they have, what is it? They got the lead under 2 minutes. Green Bay's going to call all timeouts. You don't need a hold. You would absolutely take a loss of 2 rather than a loss of 10 on that play. And they showed the replay, and I don't know, Gerald Everett didn't even need a hold. Like, all he had to do is get his body in front of it. Like, he didn't even need to engage. Just stand there, and it would have been fine. So, I didn't mind them being aggressive on the throw. Here's my issue, though. It's like you get the penalty that pushes you back. It would have been 2nd and 4. Packers would have wasted a timeout. 2nd and 4, you get 2 chances essentially, maybe 3 to pick up 4 yards, 5 yards. You like your odds there, but they throw the ball as another bubble screen, and at that point, Green Bay's sitting on, okay, if they're throwing it short. That probably would have been a good time for some play action, or at least rip the ball down the field. If it gets picked off the 20-yard line, whatever. I mean, it's bad, but it's not like what happened there. So that was bad. Not getting the plays in time on the final drive. Another illegal formation shift, whatever penalty. It could have been on 2 guys. But even that, man, what a throw on 3rd down by Caleb Williams.
I know.
What a throw.
I will give credit to Thomas Brown for the structure of that play as well, because he had the Packers fooled that they were going to the right side of the field with that
the 3
very odd trips lineup that was literally all in a row. They thought they're going for the sideline. And you heard the broadcast talk about it as well, where the magic number is 15 seconds to get to the line of scrimmage, get the playoffs, spike the ball, and have enough time. And the Bears got it done in 13. And I wouldn't be surprised if Green Bay thought, there's no way they're going to throw down the middle of the field 15, 20 yards with the way that this is set up. And the Bears did just that barely in time. And I give them all the credit in the world in the fact that if that play doesn't go according to plan, the offensive line knew what they needed to do. The receivers lined up in the same exact spot. Everything from beginning to end worked to a T. And it made you for 1 second think, wow, like they got it right. They finally got it right after just having so many mishaps. You mentioned the illegal shift, I believe is what it ended up being called on DJ Moore. When I truly don't know what they were doing. If it was just a delay in Thomas Brown getting the call into the huddle or what, but there was no reason for them to wait that long to get to the line of scrimmage, to even be put in that situation. And, there were 3 or 4 times today where it was like last minute, like, let's go. And Caleb caught a couple of them today. He finally called a timeout by himself today, which was nice to see. He had another one where Thomas Brown. Yep.
Exactly. On the drive,
Yeah, and again, and then another one where, Thomas Brown came in, they did snap the ball off. But again, these are avoidable situations that the Bears kind of put themselves into. And finally, it's just like all of that disappeared. For one brief moment in time, all of that just disappeared.
Yeah, I was getting worried on that final drive when it was about 28, 27 seconds left. They get that completion, or it was a run, whatever it was. And the announcer's like, they got to call a timeout. And I was like, man, they've done this, 2 games now where they haven't called a timeout, and they finally learned to call a timeout and kept the drive alive. But, I mean, it's just the same stuff, man. Like false start on Darnell Wright in that second half that wiped away a play. The O-line blocking was really bad in this game.
Yes.
You saw it right away the first drive. The ball, snapped over Caleb's head. And still, there's still 2 guys. I mean, there's 2 guys right there immediately. So even if he took that snap clean, I think he has no chance. The negative 4-yard run from Roschon, which 2 guys right in the backfield. Swift had a couple where he was just stopped in the backfield right away. And, you look at the stats, and Caleb didn't have a great, eye-popping 300-yard passing game. But when he settled in, he was efficient, especially on that last drive. He had that one play, probably should have got rid of it earlier, but 21 of 29, 140 yards, touchdown, 95.2 quarterback rating. Again, it's not eye-popping and anything like that, but he gave you signs again that he looks like the franchise guy and encouraging. And I think I just saw the stat on Twitter from Lauren Cox. It was Caleb Williams took 1 sack in this game, and it was the first time he had just 1 sack or something in a game since week 4 or 5. I'll try to find it again, but and that sack was the first play of the game.
Yeah,
it was the Bosch snap. He was only sacked once against Green Bay Packers in week 18. That's the fewest sacks he's taken in a game since week 5. So there you go. He's not going to get the record. Still sacked too many times.
Yeah,
but still encouraging. I'm very encouraged.
Yeah, and to that point, one thing specifically that we saw multiple times today that he looked a little bit more comfortable with was when he rolled out, and instead of trying to force the ball down the field, it seemed like with a lot more, uh, confidence isn't necessarily the right word, but with just more conviction, be willing to throw the ball away instead of just running out of bounds and taking those sacks and trying to make something out of nothing. And again, give credit to the Packers. They did a very good job at containing him, making sure that he couldn't run. It wasn't something that the Bears have necessarily not had at their disposal the last few weeks, where it has been Caleb Williams running for 30, 40, 50 yards a game, and DeAndre Swift, just kind of being null and void. And Swift a little bit better of a game today with 65 yards on 20 carries, which was good to see. But again, it has been a situation with Caleb where he has been willing to take care of the ball. He has not been willing to turn it over. And you mentioned the offensive line not having the greatest blocking today. The play calling clearly showing that with the number of bubble screens and plays at the line of scrimmage, not really passing downfield. I'm really curious to see the passing chart today for Caleb Williams and how many throws, even past 10 yards, are on that chart for what he did today. Because I tell you what, it was just dink and dunk and dink and dunk all the way down the field. And, again, it almost comes back to bite him with DJ Moore fumbling the ball after that hold where they just continued with it. And the Packers knew what was coming. And I think they thought they knew what was coming at the end there. And they completely went non-Bears and, tried to do as much as they could to bring home a win.
Do you want to know what I got the passing chart up?
Oh boy. Let's see it.
You want to take a guess how many attempts 10 plus yards down the field?
Attempts 10 plus yards down the field. Is this going to count his throwaways? I don't think it will.
No.
Okay. I'm going to go with 5.
Nope. 3 attempts. All 3 completions, not counting the throwaways.
Wow.
Yeah. Honestly, so they have on his chart, obviously 8 incompletions. 2 of them were essentially true incomplete passes. The rest were throwaways, according to his chart.
Man.
So you're right. I mean, he was getting rid of the football. So, but yeah, I was calling for it all game. They're going horizontal instead of vertically. Like they're and it's not even like horizontal where they're running mesh or anything like that. They ran one slant play that was on one of the final drives. They're just not like it's just these quick bubble screens. They had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 passes under 10 yards to the right side of the field. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 onto the left side of the field. Really nothing over the middle.
Fairly balanced.
Yeah, fairly balanced. But, they had behind the line of scrimmage, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 throws behind the line of scrimmage, 1 incompletion, 1 touchdown, 10 completions.
Man.
There you go.
That that's ugly. That's extremely ugly. And that goes back to some other things that have been said today. And again, I think there's a lot of fans out there that are taking the words out of context, and it's probably just going through the motions of everything as well, where you see just not much in the creativity department from how to get this offense going. And it was just sticking with what they knew, what they had to do to make sure the ball was getting out quickly, to make sure that the offensive line wasn't collapsing in among itself, which it did a few times today, and thankfully didn't turn into more serious issues for this offense. But Ryan Poles before the game today saying that Thomas Brown is going to get a formal interview for the head coaching position this offseason. It's going through the motions, folks. There is not a chance in hell that Thomas Brown is going to be back as head coach of the Chicago Bears, regardless of a snapped 11-game losing streak to the Green Bay Packers. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I think you saw that today. I just
Right.
nice guy. He'll get his turn eventually, but it's not going to be here in Chicago. You cannot do that, and they're going to cast a wide net. I mean, we heard the Anthony Weaver rumor report from Dan Rossini. Mike Vrabel is going to interview this week from Jay Glazer. They're going to interview Ben Johnson. They'll probably interview Cliff Kingsbury. Joe Brady's a name. I'd be shocked if they didn't interview. I think actually, and you and I will get into this because we're planning like a little postseason podcast. But the name that I would really keep an eye on, I think is going to be a hot name, is going to be Liam Cohen out of Tampa Bay. What do the Buccaneers do? Like, I mean, can they? Because they're going to the playoffs, obviously, right? They I think they won today, but he's going to get looks. He'll get interviews, and I don't know if Tampa Bay will fire their head coach to keep him. I don't know if they do that, but I think Cohen will be a name. I don't know necessarily if it's going to be Chicago fully, but I think he'll get a look here. I think the Bears are going to cast a wide net, man. Like they shouldn't limit this to 2 to 3 candidates. I still think Ben Johnson's a slam dunk. I think Ben Johnson is your guy. You have to go after him. But like they're probably going to have, I'd say more than 8, 9, 10 interviews. That'd be my early guess.
And to that point, regarding a very interesting quote that Ryan Poles had this morning regarding Ben Johnson, saying, "Fantastic play caller.
No,
brilliant offensive mind.
That was a troll.
But we need a leader of men."
That was a troll. Someone trolled. That was not. Yeah, I can't find that quote anywhere else. That has to be a troll. Yeah, that has to. I listened to that interview unless I missed it. I don't know. Did you hear in the interview?
All I saw were there were a lot of people that were really, really angry. Maybe I am spreading misinformation here, and I
gotta imagine that's a troll, right?
I mean, I don't even.
But see, that's the thing with the internet, man. You can have blue checks, and it's like that's what's. I mean, it's that's got to be. I mean, I don't think. So my thing is, I don't think he'd come out and make a statement on a candidate, right? I don't think there's any chance he'd do that right now. Yeah, I would be shocked if he actually said that. I gotta see that, but I'm pretty sure it was a troll. I think it was like Caleb Williams' GOAT account or something like that. I think it was.
Yeah, Caleb GOAT QB1.
Yes. Oh, here's
trying to attach it to ESPN 1000.
Oh no, yeah, definitely not then. I don't think
I'm like,
yeah. Oh, here's a fun stat for you.
Uh-oh.
Tom Fornelli of CBS Sports. I gotta double check to make sure this one's right.
I mean, Tom is a diehard Bears fan.
He posted a meme of the two guys clenching fists together. It said going 1-5 against the NFC North, the Bears and the Packers, which is true. That's crazy. That is crazy. And now we can finally retire that stat that everyone's putting out there. The Packers have lost to teams with a combined record of 60-2 or something crazy, like whatever that stat was.
Yeah, I mean, it was just absolutely funny just seeing that. I mean, yeah, it was 0-5 versus the Lions, Vikings, and Eagles.
Yeah.
The Eagles, they get to play next week now in the wild card setup there with the 2 versus 7. I'm still getting used to this 7 teams per conference thing, but I don't know. I'm very much intrigued about, again, you mentioned a wide net and just like the uniqueness of said wide net with what could occur. Again, Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel, the big two that continue to be talked about. You mentioned the rumors regarding the Dolphins defensive coordinator. You have Brian Flores in Minnesota. He's been getting a lot of traction as well. I feel like there's more guys here this year in this cycle that are getting the hype than there normally are, which makes it a much more treacherous situation. At Cliff Kingsbury in Washington, he's got the ties to Caleb from USC, so you have that in play as well. I struggle to find the fine line between disappointment and being content / happy with who they choose this offseason, because there's ways to screw it up, but there's also a lot of ways not to screw it up that are on the board for them.
I mean, how much confidence do you have in them? Like, this is the same franchise that hired Bill Polian, and they let Trace Armstrong essentially talk him into, help talk him into Matt Eberflus, and which, Dan Weeder had the report that Eberflus was going to be fired.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. It feels like it just feels like they can't mess this up, but it feels like they can mess this up. You know what I mean? Like, it's bad, man. It's not. It's this whole season was bad, but like, just going into this off season, it's like this is their chance again to kind of fix this and fix what's been bothering them for years now. And it feels like they have some obvious choices. If you want the offensive mind who is the next big thing in the coaching search, it's Ben Johnson. If you want the quote unquote leader of men, the culture changer, it's Mike Vrabel. If you want the hard-nosed defensive guy who, Brian Flores maybe, then you kind of have like other, Cliff Kingsbury, Joe Brady, Liam Cohen. I don't think they'd be trading for a coach. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't know why the Vikings would want to trade Kevin O'Connell. That makes no sense.
What was that report?
Yeah,
you're potentially looking at a 15-2 season, and you're going to trade your coach.
That makes it made no sense. And I talked to some Vikings fans, right, and they're like, "No, that's." I guess maybe it's agent feeding them information because he's due for an extension, but I don't know. That makes no sense to me, man. But the Bears have a chance here to right this and fix this, and they have to get it right. Whether they do keep Ryan Poles or not, I'd be shocked if they didn't keep him at this point. All signs lead to him staying. But man, you just have to somehow hope they get this right. But like again, can you trust them? I don't know.
Yeah, it's more untrustworthy than trustworthy at this point, and I think that's rightly justified with anybody who feels that way, given the way that this season has gone, and really a lot of the free agents that have been brought in, and just a lot of the moves in general that have been made under Ryan Poles' tenure here, and winning 15 games in his first 3 seasons. It's just not something that clearly, screams this team is headed in the right direction, regardless of how good all of us feel after a victory today, and the first one since October. It's tough. It really is tough to continue coming back to it and saying, we're gonna put all of our hopes and dreams behind you, and I think we're gonna get rewarded with Ryan Poles getting rewarded maybe as well, and even looking at a contract extension, putting something in line with a new head coach. Maybe it is a 3-year deal that they do with a head coach, and making sure that they are not, going through this cycle, that they try to break the cycle of, if one goes, then the other goes, or, we have this staggered years between GM, coach, and quarterback. Yeah, there's a lot behind the scenes I'm really hoping comes to fruition here in the next 14 days. It's tough to even think that they're going to do it correctly, and that it sucks saying that, because even the Jets are ahead of things right now in their coaching search, and they've done. Yeah, they're interviewing already. They've already interviewed Mike Vrabel. He's already in there. He's getting things done. It just, man, it worries me that we've been here for weeks now, and nothing has occurred yet. And I don't care about, trying to be, common courtesy, all whatever around Thomas Brown being the active head coach, but you got to do what's best for the future of your franchise. And again, if they drop the ball on this, it's going to be really hard to get this fan base back in check, regardless of how the last decade has gone, with all of the pitfalls that we've seen over the course of just, really, you can say since 1985. It's tough. It truly is tough.
Well, there's going to be two things with Ryan Poles. You either have to fire him or extend him. You can't go into a lame duck year for him next year with a head coach that's not, married to him in terms of a contract. Because if he goes into next year with uncertainty, you're going to be doing the same thing over and over. It's just like so repetitive. So that's why I keep saying, chance to do it right. Two options. You extend Ryan Poles and you let him pick the head coach, or you get him out the door and you try to, marry the new head coach with the new GM and hope that works. But I don't know. I did see something interesting though, going back to the game. Sean Hammond, who is now reporting from the press conference, saying that Caleb Williams told the media he made an adjustment on the completion to DJ Moore over the middle that set up the game-winning field goal. Original play call was something to the sideline, and Williams recognized something and signaled over to Moore, and that's how they got that play. So there you go, man.
Wow.
That's smart. That's smart from your quarterback.
He just shows us this all the time. And like I said, I'm so glad things worked out the way that they did with ending that drive and being able to watch him, engineer it all together in such limited fashion for everything that he's gone through this year in his rookie season. Again, just excellent stuff out of a rookie quarterback. And again, there was a really nice graphic that came up over the course of the game, as towards the end of the game, talking about his ranks as the number one overall pick at quarterback since 1964, I think. Fourth in yards, first in touchdown to interception ratio, fourth in, it might have been touchdowns, and then 15th in record. So again, there's all of these things that it makes you feel good about where he's at, what he's had to deal with. Hopefully next year, better offensive line, better coaching around him.
It's got to be the priority.
I mean, everything has to be about his development moving forward on this offense. And if, again, they fail to do it, then I don't know. I mean, hell, aside from and again, I hate throwing out the word promotion, but I would be curious to see what would occur if they pushed Ryan Poles into a president of football operations role and then gave Ian Cunningham the GM role. I would like to see that alternate reality just to understand, what the dynamic is there. And I know they want to keep Ian. And I know 2 third-round picks is very tempting with the way that whole NFL structure works with hiring minority front office positions. But I mean, what do the Bears have to lose, truly,
Right.
at this point? They got to get it right. And, maybe it requires the swallowing of a pill here or there. Again, maybe another thing to look at that maybe hasn't been discussed. Just to, maybe shake things up a little bit. If they can take a good hard look in the mirror and say, maybe we should try this to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the Cubs did, right? Didn't they
Yeah.
do something? Yeah, with Jed and
Jed Hoyer.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see these next couple weeks, and we'll get locker room tomorrow, and then you'll start to hear. I mean, you'll start to hear more interviews, I bet, as early as Tuesday. And they're gonna interview everyone, and I think we'll get more clarity on Ryan Poles here within 24 to 48 hours. Like, if you're not gonna fire him, if you're gonna fire him, you're gonna do it tomorrow morning. If you're not, if they don't do it, I imagine he'll be sticking around.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably
at this point, even just putting him in front of the media here this morning, I think is going to be something that is going to be more of a telling sign that this is. But then again, I mean, hell, they put their head coach out in front of the media and then fired him an hour later. So.
That is true. People forget. People do forget. And they apparently did not have their mind made up, and they made it up in that 15-minute presser that he did. Oh,
can't fire people on Virginia's birthday now. Come on.
Yeah. They won. There's a great birthday gift. They won on Virginia's birthday.
102 years old for Virginia McCaskey.
Yeah.
And the Bears coming away with a very well-earned win, despite, again, hiccups all along. 24-22 over the Green Bay Packers, finishing at 5-12 for the 2024 season, with a whole checklist of improvements on the horizon that they need to get to in order to make sure they don't end up in this same position a year from now. But like Zach said, we're going to be discussing over the offseason everything Bears leading up into free agency, leading up into the draft, what's ahead for this team, and everything else in between. It's going to be a doozy. It's we thought last offseason was going to be fun. This one, again, more opportunities to hopefully figure out things, maybe right some wrongs in regards to, doing the head coach search should have done a year ago. But, it's more good draft picks. Again, 3 draft picks in the top 2 rounds. So, again, some opportunities to really put some strong foundation into to place here for the Chicago Bears in 2025.
Yes, it'll be another fun offseason. This is where things get more fun, and the pain of this season is not officially over because we'll still be thinking about it, but it's pretty much over. But gonna be a lot of fun offseason stuff, and we'll be back this week. We'll have a podcast on our own, kind of breaking things down. I'll be at House Hall tomorrow doing locker room stuff, so we'll have some stuff about that. But yeah, just stick with us, man. And it's been great having you, Steve, in the past couple, 5 weeks, 6 weeks now, I think it's been.
For the real fun part of the Bears season,
Yes, right, yeah, crazy, dude, crazy.
It's been tons of fun. It definitely has been tons of fun.
Yes, yeah, I agree, and it's good stuff ahead too. We'll have a good time covering this off-season stuff.
That we will. And we thank all of you for tuning in, hanging out with us for all of these post-game reactions here at bearreport.com and all of our podcast and streaming channels. We do appreciate all of you. So, like we said, now into off-season mode. We'll see what the Bears have up their sleeve and who exactly is going to be running the ship for figuring out everything. Hell, maybe we'll even have some information about a new stadium at some point this offseason. It's anybody's guess for what awaits, but we'll be here to cover it all. So for Zack Pearson, I'm Steven Johnson. Thanks for hanging out with us here on this Saturday or Sunday afternoon. I don't even know what day it is anymore. That's how much fun we're having today. But hey, Bears win. That's what matters. Bears beat the Packers 24-22. Take that, Green Bay. We'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.
Later.